Hello, EECS 183 staff. My name is Jonah Perna, and today we're talking about classes. So what is a class? Well, a class is a way to represent custom data in C++. So much like integers or strings or booleans, a class is a way of representing data. So take a rectangle for instance. A rectangle has a width and a length. If we wanted to create a rectangle class, we would need to store all of its data in a way that would allow us to represent a rectangle. So let's take a look at how we might define a rectangle class. So first we would write class and then our name, which in this case is rectangle. So with a class, for example rectangle, we have two main components. We have member functions and member variables. In this specific case, we have our member functions as public and our member variables as private. And so what these two keywords do is these keywords differentiate what the programmer is allowed to access from outside of the class. So these public member functions, for example, are only able to be accessed by the programmer outside of the class, while these member functions, these member variables, are only able to be accessed by these member functions within the class itself. So let's take a look at an instance of a rectangle. So our first instance we'll declare as a rectangle R1. So this rectangle will run the first constructor, a default constructor, which will initialize our two member variables to length of 2 and a width of 2. And so as you can see here, R1, we have no inputs, unlike our second rectangle, R2, which has 2 inputs of 4 and 3. And so what these two constructors do is these constructors represent two different options to the programmer. The first is a default constructor, and there are no inputs to this constructor. It will initialize the length and width to 2 default values which we predetermine. The second type is a custom constructor, which allows the programmer to initialize the member variables to custom values which they would like for their purposes. So with these two instances of rectangles, we can call an additional member function, getArea, which will return the area of both of these rectangles. We can do this using the dot operator. Now the dot operator allows us to take an instance of a class and use those member variables to call a function. So for R1, when we call getArea, this will return length times width, which is an integer of 4. So 2 times 2. Similarly, for R2, when we use the dot operator to getArea, it will take its length and width, which is 4 times 3, and will return 12. So those are the benefits of a class and a sort of a brief overlay of what a class is able to do for us in representing an abstract data type and containing this data necessary to represent certain ideas and concepts. Thank you very much.